According to TV Guide, my first guest is one of the most trusted people in news. He anchored 19 of the first 50 hours of war coverage on Fox News, was a media witness to the Timothy McVeigh execution, and has covered just about every major event of the last 7 years. Please welcome Shepard Smith, everybody. What's happening? Great to have you here.
Good to be here, thanks.
So, what you been up to?
You know, we had a little war going on.
A little war.
Yeah, it's been kind of busy.
How crazy has your, whole schedule been since, A-Day?
We've been busy. It's hard to separate one day from the next, you know. It's been quite a ride, but interesting to watch.
Yeah, very interesting for us to watch. I want to start out with the New York Observer. There was an article that said that your production staff, I guess, at Fox News, quote, looks like they just stepped off the set of Last Call with Carson Daly.
They gave you a little shout out.
I don't know what that means,
That's
though.
a compliment.
Is it a compliment? I don't know if that means that the staff is young, tired, broke.
All of that.
You only have 5 people working for you, too?
Exactly.
I don't know. What did that mean?
There are about 15 of them. They're young, they're hip, they read a lot, they understand pop culture, they know music, they know movies, and they know the news real well.
How important is that for you? I mean, look, the audience here is very young. People who watch the show are much younger. You don't look like the, the typical sort of news journalist that we grew up with. And I think that that probably all leads to a couple of stats of why Fox News might be #1 and why you are so trusted.
I hope so. I mean, I think what has happened is they've come to trust our network. I mean, we didn't make a lot of enormous errors about explaining how the war was going. We didn't say that we were bogged down when we weren't bogged down. The network didn't make that many big errors, and I think that's the reason the numbers came back. And it's because of those people who are really working hard back there, and they're not 104 years old either, which is nice.
Right, no, that is nice. In a recent TV Guide poll, you were ranked the #2 most trusted anchor behind Tom Brokaw.
Yeah, they did that in my hometown.
See, and you're a journalist. You're not supposed to have a sense of humor.
I don't know how that happens. You know, we're just a little cable channel that sprung up from a Sam Goody across the street about 6 years ago. I don't know how it's happened. It's a phenomenon that...
And for you, being a journalist and obviously, caring so much about what you do and how you do it and you're a professional, what does that sort of stat mean to you? I mean, is this what you always wanted to do?
There's nothing better than being trusted. I mean, that's all we want to be, is trusted. I mean, if people will come to us every day when something happens that matters to them and they choose us, then we've done something pretty darn well.
Do you think it's because when you're on the air, when I watch, I feel like you're a little more opinionated, you're more of a straight shooter, and I get that sort of sense that you're just speaking a little bit from you and not so much of that perfect sort of gray area like some of the older journalists?
Yeah, we don't really go for that. You know, the 7 o'clock show, the nighttime show, is a really straight sort of, here's your news of the day, here's what's happened today. In the afternoon and in the late show, we get to talk, we get to share ideas about things, talk about what's already happened and what that might mean for the future. So we get a little more banter, and we get to bring Jane Skinner in the mix and toss Rick Leventhal around, so it's good.
Do some of the viewers, because the Fox News sort of motto is fair and balanced, are there viewers that think that the Fox News broadcast in particular might lean more right, like some people think CNN leans left?
Well, I mean, I think Sean Hannity leans right. He's right of me. But, Alan Colmes leans left. Are we somewhere closer to the center than some of the others? I think we are. But if you look at our newscasts are straight down the middle. Even the far left-wing organizations that write things say their news is right down the middle, and that's sort of where I'm trying to be. There's no reason why you can't have fun in a newscast if something's fun to talk about.
Right.
Just because it's the news doesn't mean it has to be stuffy and boring.
This is the first time that there's been a world crisis that network news have not had a big jump in ratings.
Yeah, that they didn't own.
Now, why is that?
I think because this war kind of happened on its own schedule, not on ours. The war a lot of times was happening at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning over here. That's when things were hopping and happening. The 8-hour time difference means sunrise in Baghdad was big news on many days.
Right.
That's not when the networks are up and running. We're sort of uniquely positioned to do that.
Doesn't it seem weird that we even have a discussion about sort of news versus cable, like ratings and stuff, when at a time like this? Does that just seem a little like obsolete? For
us, it wasn't about ratings. We had to look at the ratings to find out when it was that people were looking for the information. We're not equipped to be on with hundreds of people working at every moment of every day. That's not how it works. You go into reruns in the middle of the night.
Right.
But suddenly it became obvious we have to be on every moment of every day and have our best people there all the time.
Right.
So we worked a lot.
we have never seen a war like this. We've never seen technology being used. We've never seen journalists embedded. And even to me, being 29 and watching this, and I was there 12 years ago, obviously, watching it, the coverage is much different. Do you think people's perception of war has changed drastically? And is it for the better or is it for the worse?
I think it's clearer. You know, we don't have to rely on a press briefing every day to tell us what's going on. I mean, this war is, you and I are responsible for this war. This war was of, by, and for the people, and whether we were for it or against it once it got started, those are the guys that we're paying over there to do our dirty work for us, or our good work in this case, in many cases.
Right.
So we got little slices every day from people who are fair and are balanced, from all different walks of life, hundreds of journalists. And if you take all of that information in and put it together, you make your own decisions about whether you're for or against things.
It's been just weird for me to watch the war. I think many of us feel this way. There was a time where I remember when the first bombings in Baghdad started, and I felt like I shouldn't be seeing this.
Right.
And I had that same feeling that I had September 11th, of just for sheer sensationalism.
Yeah.
That these eyes are watching something that, in my generation, is usually a CGI, you know, Armageddon scene, yet it was going down in front of us. And I felt like I felt guilty for watching it. Not that I would have felt any better reading about it.
Yeah.
But do you think that the coverage has been almost maybe just too much?
I felt like we needed to see every bit of what our government was doing on our behalf. Every bit that we're allowed to show, we should show. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We got criticized a lot of times saying, oh, Fox, listen to them. They're the only ones saying the war isn't bogged down. The supply lines are clearly breaking down. Look at this sandstorm. Why are they pretending that everything is going well? Well, we weren't pretending. But the moment it got ugly, we have a responsibility to tell that, and I think we did.
Do you think other news outlets were giving a false sort of progress report on the war, saying it was being slowed down?
I think there were some generals who were involved with this, who were embedded, as the White House put it, with some television news anchors, that because of their political bents, made some decisions that were wrong.
Who are the generals that we watch? They sort of like armchair generals that, you know, they're on like the news and they say, well, let's go to the expert and sort of check out the progress of what's going on. Who are those guys, and are they changing what they're saying because they have sort of a political agenda?
They're the old frontline guys. In some cases, they're tied to the old fat army, the army that wants to go in heavy. In this case, they made a decision for the first time ever that we can do it from the air and the ground at the same time, that while the ground is resting, the air can pound. While the air is resting, the ground can pound. And they believed that it would work. The old school people who had done war before and said, we have to go in fat, this can never work. And look, now there's a sandstorm, now this thing is bogged down, and people are going to die, this war is going to take months. And they were all wrong. The plan, seems to me, a month later, looks like a pretty good one.
Journalists have been embedded. You've spoken to them.
Oh, yeah.
What are they scared when you talk to them? And what is what we see on the air a fair assessment, or when you're off the air, are they saying things candidly to you like, I'm terrified?
Completely unfiltered. Rick Leventhal, one of my best friends, said to me on air repeatedly, I'm scared. This is interesting, I'm scared, these guys are miracle workers, all of those things. But I think you got everything unfiltered except what was coming next in a perfect world. You didn't get what's coming next.
When the journalists are there, what are they allowed to say and what are they not allowed to say? Obviously, Geraldo went down and, like, was drawing stuff and, you know, that obviously wasn't good.
That wasn't too cool, apparently.
He's like, this rock is a tank. They're coming in this way and, you know.
Yeah.
And that seems sort of dumb, but
yeah.
What are they, other than their positioning, they're allowed to just sort of comment on anything that they're seeing?
You're not allowed to comment on anything past this moment. If you know what's going to happen in 15 minutes or an hour or a day, you really shouldn't talk about that, because Saddam and his goons might hang out and wait for them and knock some of them off. That wouldn't be very cool. Aside from that, if they have specifics of a mission that just happened, details of something that might have a follow-up, and they say, shut up, then shut up. But I've talked to Rick Leventhal and some of our other embedded correspondents who said, I was really surprised by how little they told us we couldn't say.
It's unbelievable that they're actually there and they're you know, right in the middle of it. And how's Jennifer Eccleston doing? She's pretty hot. How'd you guys get her over here?
I don't know how we got her. I feel like it's time for her to come back for a victory lap, though.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Maybe here on this show.
Maybe so. She's in Baghdad right now. She's leading every show every night, and she's beautiful and she's brilliant, and she knows that region so well, and I don't know how we got her.
Yeah, she's good.
She's a Fox Fox.
Yeah, we got to take a quick break. More Shepard Smith when we get back. Also the music of Howie Day, all coming up. Thanks for staying up. We appreciate it. Howie Day is going to perform a little bit. We're here with Shepard Smith from Fox News. Doing live television is what to you? Very difficult? You feel
the best thing there is.
Why?
when you're in that seat and anything can happen, you know, that's where you earn your stripes. That's where you get knocked down, or that's where you get built up. Depends, you know.
And people don't realize when you do live television, and I've done it over at MTV, that when you talk and you're live to this camera right now, as you're talking, and you can probably attest to this, you have to make the world's fastest mental edits. You think about what you're going to say before it comes out, and it happens like that. Because you can't just totally freely talk, because something could come up the wrong way, and you could get a letter, or worse could happen.
There's no backspace.
And it did to you and me.
Yeah.
I'll set up my embarrassing live moment. I've never shown this before. Some people have seen it. It was, you know, pretty damn embarrassing. And I'll show you the clip. This is from MTV, and hopefully you'll get the scope. If not, I'll explain it after. And then we'll see Shep's, who's much worse. So watch mine real fast.
Backstreet Boys, the #2 of the call. And this is actually quite amazing. Apparently a word has gotten out outside the country. The #1 video on TRL is Soul Decision. And Trevor joins us on the telephone from Cuba, of all places. Trevor, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
This is amazing. What time is it there?
I think it's about 5 o'clock.
In the morning or night?
Night.
Oh, it is the same time
Although
zone.
it's still very hot here.
What a jackass, right?
90 miles south of Havana. Yeah.
I could hit my 7-iron from Key West to Cuba, but, you know, I was there. Cuba seemed exotic when it came out of my tongue, and the next thing I thought was, you know, let's, like, you know, build this up a little bit. And, But yours is so much worse. Do you want to say anything about it?
We're not going to get exotic and tongue.
I think yours is worse, but I think yours is cooler, too, and you guys have seen Shepard Smith. Did you see what happened? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Do you guys remember when Jenny from the Block first came out?
Yeah, this is a Jennifer Lopez
She
reference.
came back. She was doing a little tour with a magazine, and the writer put into the G Block, which is the end of our show, sort of the entertainment party, said,
Don't give this away, though.
I think they'd rather give her a curb job than a block party.
That was in the prompter.
That's what the script said. Oh, yeah.
And here's Shepard Smith on Fox News. Let's roll it down. Here's what happened. Fantastic.
And they didn't fire me.
That's why Shepard Smith is the #2 trusted man in news. Because he's thinking what he should be thinking. Listen, first of all, obviously, it was, like you said, it was just a play on word screw up, probably in the teleprompter, and those suck to read from anyway.
Yeah. I'm not very good at that.
What was your first reaction when that?
I'm fired. We're 2 minutes to Bill O'Reilly. I mean, 30 million people are about to be watching. I'm thinking, oh my God, and my mom's watching.
And when you said, and when the word blow came out of your mouth,
blood to the toes.
You just knew right away.
Yeah, because things have been going pretty good lately. I mean, a few people are watching. We got O'Reilly carrying us along, and then suddenly I got to say that on television.
Did you know how
are we back to Panama City now?
That clip was on the internet like that, and I think that sort of gave you this really cool kind of cult following. Like, let's check out Shep and see what's going to come out of his mouth.
My mom was impressed.
We think that's kind of cool. It shows that you're human, and it's, I think, endearing and hilarious.
I shouldn't do it again, probably.
Yeah, no, but you're nice to let us play. We have a couple minutes, and I just wanted to ask, you were one of 2 journalists that were chosen to witness Timothy McVeigh's execution.
Yep.
If you don't, can I ask you what your position on capital punishment was prior?
You know, I didn't really have a position, but I was there the day the building blew up, and I covered his trial and Terry Nichols' trial. So it was sort of the ending of a story for me, which is kind of rare to be able to cover something from start to finish. It was a sort of clinical environment, and what I really came away from it with a year of looking back on it is that people who are really against capital punishment because they think it's cruel and unusual punishment would have seen a man fall asleep and they would have moderated. And people who are really for capital punishment because they think this guy who murdered all of those innocent civilians in Oklahoma City should die a very cruel death would probably not be so much for capital punishment. I think if everybody saw it, people would go, that dude just fell asleep.
There wasn't the sort of convulsion and 90 seconds of what people described as physical horror.
Tim McVeigh sat up in his thing as much as he could. He looked at all of us. I was 18 inches from his feet across a bulletproof glass door. He looked at each of us like greeting us. Lay back on his chair. They put some drips into his arm and he fell asleep, and that was that. That's not how it ended for people in the Oklahoma City Federal Government.
No, it certainly wasn't. You're a good man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Shepard Smith, everybody. Fox Report with Shepard Smith, Fox News Channel. Be sure and watch that. Howie Day is going to sing for you right after this.